Supper's on the stove, and the cows still need milked. The kids need baths, and the chickens aren't shut in. If you feel like there is never enough time in the evenings to breathe, listen on. Your homestead shouldn't steal your evenings. Are you a mom who dreams of that homestead life you see on Instagram? Who feels called to Christian homemaking? You feel like you'd need an extra 12 hours in your day, along with another set of hands, just to make your home work the way you know it could. Welcome to Simply Living Homestead. I'm Amanda Carlin, wife, mama, homemaker, and milkmaid. I've learned the secret to simplifying my time and homestead so my homemaking supports my family instead of exhausting me, and it makes room for the moments that truly matter. If you're ready to get time back in your day, manage your home with confidence, grow in your homesteading skills, and train your children in the way they should go, grab your pitchfork and planner, friend. Let's get to work. Over the last couple of months, you've probably heard me promoting my Facebook community. I have made the decision to step away from Facebook because I don't believe busy, tired moms need more noise, negativity, and endless scrolling in their lives. What you do need is encouragement, support, and a place that helps you stay focused on what really matters. That's why I created my free community off social media inside a simple app where we can connect without distractions. It's available both on an app in your phone and on your web browser. Inside you'll find encouragement for real-life homesteading moms, accountability to stay consistent, a peaceful, uplifting community, support without comparison or drama. If you're craving less screen time and more purpose, I'd love for you to join us. Go to simplylivinghomestead.com/community or click the link in the description below. Welcome back to the homestead. Today we're talking about designing animal chores that actually fit your life. We are going to talk about how to build a homestead system and time management rhythm that protects your evenings. This is something that I have spent a good amount of time learning to do. It is, frankly, the reason that I am even podcasting today, is that I had to spend a lot of time figuring out how to make animal care fit with being a homemaker and being a mother and taking care of my people. I love my animals. I live to be outside. I love being in the barn. Getting up every morning and going out and doing chores, even in the dead of winter, and we've had some really cold days this winter, it almost never feels like a burden. There are some days that I'm like kind of grumbly about the weather, but like I don't have very many instances of grumbling about doing chores themselves. The problem is because I really enjoy doing it and I live for it, and it's the thing that fills me with purpose and all that. The things that I am truly called to do, taking care of my family and my home and making sure that I have time to spend with my husband and listen to him and listen to my son and all these things, they started very quickly taking the back burner. As I was learning these skills, they were not things that I learned as a child. Animal care, dairy, we did not do that as children. I learned a lot of other skills that I have here on the podcast, but we didn't have dairy. And so I had to learn those things as an mom of a small child. I started milking when Emerson was 2. Was he even 2? Yeah, he was almost 2, I guess, when I started milking. So this was something that actually caused a lot of conflict in our marriage, and there was guilt both directions for me. Like, I felt guilty because I wasn't taking care of my animals well, and I felt guilty because I wasn't getting supper on the table, and my house was a mess. Like, you were tripping over stuff all the time, never cleaned the bathroom, just like there were things that needed to be done and they were not getting done. So what I've discovered is that consistency is better than perfection. I have learned to set up systems and rhythms and routines and boundaries so that I have time to do both things. And no matter what this is for you, I'm going to be talking about chores specifically, and we're going to talk a lot about evening chores because that's kind of where the friction was the most for me. Jonathan, my husband, leaves the house very early in the morning. He is to work by 5, so no, by 6, 5 in the winter, summer. Anyway, he's leaving the house 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's just, a matter of mornings, just you get breakfast and you do stuff as you have time, and it hasn't been that big of a deal. But evenings, when Jonathan gets home and Emerson is hungry and Jonathan is hungry and frankly Amanda is hungry, it can cause a lot of friction in the evenings for me. But no matter what it is for you, whether it is chores or whether you're listening to this as a homemaker who doesn't have animals yet and doesn't have those things, there is probably something in your life that is causing some friction here. So I hope that you can listen to this episode and take away some tips on how to structure and organize your life so that you have the opportunity to do both, that you have the rhythms in place to do both. For me, this came about by creating separate time blocks for the 2 activities that I mentioned, chores and then taking care of my home and my family. So I was able to create a boundary here, and this boundary works. You've probably heard it a lot if you've listened to any of my other episodes, but it works on the time zone method where you group the like activities together and then you create a boundary there that when you're inside of that set of time, you can take care of the things that are in that zone. So I have a chore zone. I have a time that I start chores and a time that I finish chores, and my goal is to get finished inside of that block. Now with chores, occasionally I do run over, but I do try very hard to keep that boundary, to be respectful of my family, my time, my family's time, and only work on chores inside my chore block. And then I have a home and family block where I am focusing on making sure that I take care of food and clothes and paying attention to my son and playing board games with him. He's really gotten into board games. And so just like making sure that I'm spending time doing these things. So my rhythm is about 6:30 or 7 in the morning. I go out and do chores. When I am milking all 5 cows, it takes about 2.5 hours to do it. Emerson is not a breakfast eater. I cannot make him be a breakfast eater. I don't know why. And so it actually works out really well. He eats a very light breakfast sometimes. He's getting to the age he can kind of do it himself. And then we have lunch, and so I'm able to do that. And then about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I go out and repeat that activity about 2.5 hours. My mom will often come over, so I have a second set of hands in that evening block. And then it'll be about 6-ish. I am done, and from then on, I am devoted to my family. I am making sure that supper gets put onto the table, that we do an evening reset, that laundry gets restarted, and I've kind of structured a bunch of the home activities inside of that time to fit inside of that time. So having these 2 separate blocks have really saved my sanity. It has created boundaries that my family knows what to expect. And so they know that I will come back and that I have a time, a deadline that I'm going to be back, and then I am going to devote my time to them. And I'm not going to be sitting there and thinking about all the other activities that I need to do because I am dedicating that time to pay attention to them. So how does this work for you? Well, your evenings don't need more hustle. They need a better system. We need to be able to think through what we are doing and set boundaries around them. You don't just have to set boundaries with people. That's where it gets talked about a lot. But I genuinely believe that you should be setting boundaries with your money and setting boundaries with your family and setting boundaries with your time. And time is the thing that we are going to be talking about. So let's get into how to actually apply this to you and to your life. So you need a separate work block from your home and family block. Depending on what the activity is that is causing friction with your family, you are going to figure out how to stack this in. You are either going to create a work block where it's a larger load. For animals, like taking care of animals, if all you need to do is go out and make sure that the chickens have feed and water and that their eggs are gathered and that they are closed in so that no animals, like wild animals, eat them, that might just need to be a routine where you have a very small section of time where like, okay, we're going to do chores and it's just going to kind of touch. But that probably isn't causing a whole lot of friction. If that's all that you have to do, that's probably not the thing that's causing friction in your life. For me, it was a big animal load. It was chores that took a couple of hours. And so it was important to set aside a defined chunk of time that is labeled as a work zone or a work block. This clarity is going to remove that mental tension, and it's going to also remove that tension between members in the family because they know what to expect. The second point is that consistency beats perfect timing. For me, I run a dairy, and they will often yell at you, like if you read any articles, that you should be milking your cows every 12 hours. Like it should be 12 hours spaced apart. And truthfully, they do produce better. Like their production is better if you do that. But cows are creatures of habit. As long as you can make sure that you're showing up at the same time every single day, it doesn't actually have to be spaced evenly. And that is honestly true for a lot of things in our life, that we need to be consistent over perfect timing or being able to, I'm always starting at exactly 2:00. No, you don't have to, but you do need to be consistent that every afternoon I'm going to do this activity and then I'm going to enter my work block or whatever that activity is for you. Animals thrive on rhythms. Us humans also do. It is kind of crazy, but it absolutely is true. So then the third thing is you need to take an audit before you just jump in and rearrange everything. So if you're thinking about this and you're like, oh yeah, I do have that friction spot, like you know what it is. You are thinking about this and you know what this friction point is. So think about that activity and the activities that follow and the activities that come before, and list everything that happens that you can think of. Just brain dump it. Just spill it out. And then take an honest evaluation of it. For the evening, like, is there anything that could be moved earlier? What truly has to stay? And when you've got it down to, okay, these are the things that have to happen, we need to know how long it actually takes you to do those things. I am very slow at making food. Every single recipe, like I find a recipe on Pinterest, it looks delicious. When I end up making it, it is delicious. And they're like, oh, it should take 15 minutes of prep and, a half hour of baking. Well, the baking time is correct because you bake it for that long. But the prep time is always doubled for me, at least. It's a half hour of prep time. It probably took me an hour to prep that food. I do not have the foggiest clue why. But I know that about myself, right? How long does it actually take you to complete the activities that you need to do? And because it takes me longer to prep food, I need to make sure that I either do it earlier in the day to get it prepped so that I don't have as long to assemble or fry or cook or whatever that happens to be in the evening, or I need to budget time into the evening so that I am not constantly pushing supper later than it needs to be. You can't manage what you haven't measured. So we need to measure that, know what the activities, the times are going to take. So I mentioned that chore time takes me about 2.5 hours. So I need to know that I need to budget 2.5 hours for my chore block, but I also know that I want supper at a very specific time. So then I have to set my supper time, back up the amount of time that's going to take me to cook supper, back up the amount of time that it's going to take me to prep supper, and that's my end time for that 2.5 hour block. And now often I can't do that. So I have to then take that prep of the food and move it earlier in the day, because generally speaking, you can prep food earlier. So it's something that I can move earlier and do it then, so that I actually have time to cook the supper and have it on the table at the appropriate time. I hope this has given you some ideas on how to look at your own life and look at the things that are causing friction in your own life. Maybe it is chores. Maybe it is like your evenings are just falling apart and things just don't feel like they're working well. Maybe you're working outside the home and you're trying to balance this homemaking, with doing other things in your life. Or maybe you're running kids to a sports practice. You're not failing. You need time management and you need boundaries around your time. You just need a clearer system, and you need to protect your evenings like they matter, because they do. So your action today is to write down, find your friction point. What is that thing that's really causing some friction in your family? And write down every task that needs to happen surrounding that. And then how much time does it take? Remove what can move earlier, shift some things if you need, and then build a very simple routine stack so that you can set a boundary around your time and work through those activities that you need to take place in. I encourage you to make the routine stack very simple. Don't go into a ton of detail until you've kind of worked through it a little bit. And then if you find that your brain does need more information about what it's supposed to do specifically inside this list, go ahead and add more details. I like a lot of details in mine, but I know that about myself. And so I'm going to encourage you to start as simple as you can so you don't overwhelm yourself, and then add in more as you need to, I need to remember to do this activity. You can add it into your list. If you go ahead and do this this action step, I would encourage you to come over and share it inside our free community group. We have shifted onto a private platform, so you don't have to worry about getting distracted on Facebook. And it's a very safe place. It's monitored and moderated, and I hang out over there. I see your comments. You can share things, post your own posts, read the posts that I put up, and we have a good time. We share and we encourage one another over there. And if you would like to share your routine stack, or share how you implemented this lesson, or do you want some help kind of figuring out, could I switch this or whatever, I would be happy to bounce some ideas off with you. If you posted it over there, I would encourage you to go check it out. The link is in the description. It's Simply Living Homestead /community is where you can find that. So just remember that separate blocks, separate time zones help reduce that overwhelm. It sets boundaries, and setting consistency inside those boundaries brings that peace that you are craving to lower that frustration and that friction that you are feeling, so that you can manage animals and you and your family can actually enjoy supper, or you can do that project that you've been working on and also enjoy your supper. And I know you can do this. I did it, and I'm still, tweaking it and making sure that I make it work for the season we're in, but I know you can. If I can do it, I know you can do it. So until next week, I hope you have a lovely week. Hey neighbor, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share this episode with a friend who is knee-deep in their own homestead? Also, please leave me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts. It thrills me to know that this podcast is helping you. Keep watching those sunsets, friend. I'll meet you back here on the homestead soon for another episode. See ya!